Welcome back to the Unpolished Podcast, everybody. Today, we have the man, the myth, the legend, the Joe Stevenson, who is freshly retired. Been writing for how many years now?
35 and a half years at the Northwest Herald. 42 years. Total, 35 and a half at the Northwest Herald.
Oh, so where'd you start then?
Started at the Macomb Journal in 1982. That was my first daily newspaper job. Worked there until the summer of 86. Fortunately, right before I left there to go to the Quad City Times, I met my wife, who's a Crystal Lake girl, Becky, and we hit it off right away. And then I worked at the Quad City Times for 2.5 years, and then I was fortunate enough to come to the Northwest Herald in 1989.
And it's been Northwest Herald the whole time.
It's been a terrific ride, man. It's been so much fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, your name is it's kind of iconic in a way. Like everyone knows, even Alex. We were talking about it. Like I was like, "Oh, Joe Stevenson." Oh, we got Joe Stevenson on the show, and Alex was like, "Wait, who is that?" And then he kind of was like, "Wait, I know exactly who that is." Even though, like he's never had any personal experience or anything with you. Like everyone just kind of, when you see the Stevenson, you kind of clicks in your brain like, oh, it's Joe Stevenson, the dude who's wrote about, what'd you say, 8,000?
Yeah, somebody asked me a few years ago, how many stories do you think you've written? And I hadn't really thought about it. And so I kind of devised a formula. I'm like, all right, I work about 200 days a year, and I've done this for 42 years, and I figure I probably averaged a story a day. There's some days that I don't write any, some days that I write 2 or 3, And so I figured, well, if I wrote a story a day for all the days I worked, it's somewhere around 8,000 probably. I didn't want to overestimate. I think that's probably fairly accurate.
So what's your writing process like? Like how do you get to writing something for, like, what's the topic? How do you find your topic? What's your day like? Do you wake up and start writing? Are you like a fresh in the morning type person, or you need a little creativity in the evening? Like, what's your process like?
Well, I usually worked afternoons and evenings. The process, well, it starts with a great idea. If you have good material, you're almost halfway home, and then you study, you talk to people, find out about more about the subject, and sometimes things just jump out at you. Sometimes people tip you off on great stories, and then you just kind of, like I say, you study up, you talk to people, learn more about the subject, and I can think kind of all the way through that process. I'm always kind of thinking, okay, what's the hook? Where do I start with this? Sometimes it's a quote, sometimes it's an anecdote, and you just kind of, after doing it, as long as I did it, it kind of becomes natural.
I was going to say, you've been doing it for so long. You know what hooks, what gets people's attention.
Yeah.
What gets the most feedback, because I'm assuming you get feedback on a lot of your stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And, there's lots of times I'll be talking to someone and they might mention something about a player or something, and the alarm just goes off. Whoa, wait, I got to revisit this. That's a good story idea,
Right.
So,
right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Northwest Herald, but were you like the prep sports guy like the whole time, or?
Yes.
So that's been like your division of writing the entire time.
When I came here,
and where'd you come from?
I was at the Quad City Times, and the Quad City Times was a great newspaper. It was a huge newspaper for me. I went from Macomb, which was 9,000 circulation, to the Quad City Times, which was like 65. It's a big paper in Davenport, Iowa, but I was a copy editor there. So I laid out pages, wrote headlines, edited stories, and it was great. It was great work. It was great training, and the staff was amazing. But I really couldn't see a writing opportunity coming there, because so many of the guys had great beats.
Wanted to do.
Right. That's what I really wanted.
You were mainly editing there?
I was editing
kind of organizing, editing.
They had a CBA team. They covered Iowa State. They covered Iowa. They covered Illinois, along with all the high school sports. They would send people to Bears games, and all these guys loved their beats. They weren't going to go anywhere. And Becky being from Crystal Lake, we would come up here and visit
Your wife.
my wife.
Yeah.
We would come up here and visit her parents, and I always read the Northwest Herald. And I said, man, I like this paper. I like the way they do sports. I like the look. I sent Chris Juswick, the sports editor back then, my resume and clips several months earlier. And, you think back to how one phone call changed our lives so dramatically.
Isn't that cool?
I know. It's amazing. I look
You
back
can kind of like pinpoint that moment.
Yeah.
That's led to this moment.
Yeah.
In a sense.
I just happened to call Chris at Christmas of '88 when we were at her parents' house and wasn't expecting anything, just wanted him to remember my name down the road, right? That this guy cared enough to call. And to my shock and joy, they had a position open. They were going from 6 days a week to 7, adding a Sunday paper in March of 1989. I was one of 4 newsroom hires for the Sunday paper, and the rest is history. What a great ride.
That's super cool. I try to tell a lot of the kids that in regards to making that call, like being the catalyst person, because like what's the worst case scenario here? Okay, Chase can't. Hey, come here, Chase. Chase, come here. You guys sit, buddy. We got Chase in the room. I don't know if he's on camera. But I do not trust him with all these wires everywhere. But I try to tell these kids, like, just make the call.
Absolutely.
Make the move. Try out for this team.
Absolutely.
Try to get that job. Because the worst case scenario, no.
They tell you no. Yeah. You just let them know you're interested.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did that a lot. This wasn't just a one-time thing. I did it a lot. I would send my resume to places, and then I'm like, all right, they've had my resume here for a couple weeks, and I'd call them. Mm-hmm. And I did that a lot. I can't even remember how many papers, that I sent stuff, and so this was normal for me, but it's just perfect timing.
The times are also so different then too. So I feel like it was definitely more normal to make calls and follow up, and now it's like, I'm just going to submit it on LinkedIn and see what happens, Oh, I didn't hear anything, so I'm not going to call back.
Yeah.
That's kind of like, at least that's how I feel the kids might be acting when
I think it's such a
applying for
huge
jobs.
advantage, though, for people who are willing to make the call now.
Right.
I mean, that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
I called you.
You called me.
Found
You
your
called me to
number
set up a
online,
meeting.
and I called you. I was like, hey, do you need video work? And you're like, let's meet. Perfect. And
Yeah,
now,
I'm always down
now
to
we're
meet.
here.
And it's big for me because as soon as you do call me, I'm like, oh, this dude, he's young, he wants to work. Like, of course I'm gonna give him the chance. Like, why wouldn't I give him the chance?
So that's why I think it's just a huge advantage for people like in my generation. If you make that call, like you set yourself out from everyone else so quickly. And
If you
it's
email,
so easy.
it's very true because if you emailed me, I don't think I would have. I kind
I
of
think
have.
I might have emailed you and then called you like that day.
I think so. Yeah. Make sure he doesn't. Oh, he's gonna take that camera down. Chase. All right. Come here.
Well, he fetched you a pen. What a good boy.
I have the pen. That's fine.
A good fetcher.
Knock over the camera. Yeah. No. When I look back, I honestly, I'm not sure I would have. If you just emailed me, I don't think I would have given you the chance. There's been plenty of emails since getting you, so it's not apples to apples because I have you now. Yeah. So, but I brush anyone off that just sends an email. I'm like, you got to call.
Yeah.
Like, I guess I'm old school in that regard.
No.
But you got to call.
Yeah.
So, how did you know? I guess what inspired you to write? Was it something you always wanted to do? Was it something that you found you enjoyed in elementary school? Like, what was your childhood like?
So, my dad was a high school basketball coach when I was little, so I was always around sports, and I have fond memories of going to the gym with him, hanging out with his team. When you're in first and second grade and you go into the locker room and all the guys are talking to you and all the guys on the varsity basketball team.
They're like superstars to you.
They are superstars, and I thought I was pretty cool because I knew all the guys. They were my dad's players. I knew all the guys, and they treated me like a king. It always brought a smile to my face when I'd see, after a basketball game, I'd be waiting in the hallway outside the locker room to talk to the coach, and I'd see his son like hanging out with the team or something. It just made me smile. I'm like, that was me about 50 years ago.
How old are you now?
I'm 65. I'll be 66 next week. Got a birthday next week. Yeah. So I was always around sports, collected baseball cards, football cards, read the newspaper.
Cards were like really big.
Yeah.
Cards were really big.
Yeah.
I got a whole pile. That pile right there, you see that big stack? That's all baseball, football, and basketball. Like I have so many
good.
cards.
Mine are long since gone, but it was so. And I and then I learned how to read box scores in the newspaper. I just poured over the box scores but in school, English easily was my best subject. And
best and favorite, or just
yes,
best? Okay.
Yes, best and favorite. I won the spelling bee in the 6th grade and the 8th grade, so that always comes in handy if you're a writer. But and I remember like it's my junior year of high school, and you're trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to major in? And I just play to my strengths. I know sports inside and out. I'm strong in English and grammar. So this is what I wanted to do. I read Sports Illustrated all the time, the sporting news, all that kind of stuff. I grew up in Canton, Missouri, which is just up the river from Quincy, Illinois. So I always read the Quincy Herald Whig and read their sports writers and stuff. And it was, it was just a natural for me to do this. It was what I felt I would do well.
So you knew you wanted to do it, and you kind of hit the bullseye, and you've been doing it ever since.
Yeah. Pretty much.
It's nice to say that.
It is.
And you're at the end of it now. So jumping ahead, are you going to keep writing? Are you going to keep doing what? I know you're not going to do nothing. Right.
No, I'll do something. Need to do something with my time, and but I don't know. I can tell you this. I'm pretty sure when we're moving to Florida, because our daughters live down in Florida, we'll be down a little bit north of Fort Lauderdale, and
so you chose Florida because of your daughters?
Because our daughters are down there, and so if I were to approach any paper about covering games down there, and they saw my experience, I'm sure I could write for anybody. Just cover some games. Yeah, that's a possibility. I might. I might consider doing that. Right now, I think it's going to be nice for life to just slow down, because
does it feel like it's fast paced to you?
It's extremely fast paced. I tell you what's really the fall season in football, because we are so football oriented, with FridayNightDrive.com, our website, that.
I think just in general, football is kind of like the leading thing. I mean, if you look at a college income, what sport is paying for all the other sports?
I feel like every year when we go from football to basketball season, I feel like I'm going from like 80 miles an hour and slowing down to about 40, because it's not near as hectic in the winter. But yeah, football,
draws the crowds.
We're just trying to get traffic to the website, get more content. And it's fun, but I think I'm really going to look for. I think I'm really going to enjoy things just kind of slowing down now.
I think that's the point of retirement, right?
Yeah,
you go 100 million miles an hour, and you're waiting for the day where you can go 10 and 20 if you want to.
Yeah.
So how? This is, I think, what I'm most curious to ask you is, in your years and years of experience, how the world of not only media, but how the kids have changed, how the coaches have changed, how the parents have changed. So let's start with the media question, and you're kind of ending right when AI starts. Are you running into any AI stuff like right now? Are you guys taking advantage of AI at the Northwest Herald? Like, is any of that going on?
No.
Okay.
No, we don't do any of that.
Not going to take the personal touch out of.
Right.
Yeah. I would imagine that would be my guess, because if it said like author AI,
yeah, right,
which I do believe that's going to come.
It might,
maybe not with the Northwest Herald.
Sports Illustrated was actually like using that some and
really?
caught a lot of flack over it, because that's like
they should.
Well, they should.
They're taking jobs.
That's one of the greatest sports magazines we've ever seen.
Absolutely catch flack. I mean, AI's
they got the
over,
greatest writers in the world. Why would you do that, man?
It's taken over everywhere. I know California, they the minimum wage increased, and I know a bunch of chains went straight virtual.
Yeah.
You know, so no one's ordering from a person anymore. You're just ordering from a big giant screen.
Yeah.
But you haven't experienced anything like that yet. Okay,
No.
good. And I don't think, hopefully, that world never does fully experience that.
I hope not.
But
Yeah,
how have you grown writing wise as well? So have you noticed different changes in how you write, like how you've grown, you know, creatively in that aspect? Like, has your writing style changed over the years?
Yeah, I think subtly. I think you just kind of you constantly kind of evolve a little bit as a writer. That was one. I think that's one of the beautiful things about what I did is getting older. There's not any real physical limitations on getting older if you're a writer. You know, you can just keep. I like to think that I just kept getting kept getting a little bit better, kept refining things, and I write probably write a little bit differently than I used to. It's funny. We had a lunch. They had a lunch for me at the office a couple weeks ago. It was really nice. Brought everybody in. Everybody said some really nice words and everything, and they made this paper for me, a whole section, and they went back and found the first story I ever wrote in the Northwest Herald and my first column that I ever wrote and I'm kind of cringing, like, oh, do I want to read this? And I went back and read it.
Chase.
And
Sorry,
I was like,
Joe.
That's all right.
Chase, knock it off.
And I went back and read it, and I was like, okay, that's pretty good. I it wasn't. I was afraid I was going to read something and it was going to sound hokey, and I liked the way that I wrote it. But yeah, I think that's something that fortunately for me in our job, that you can just keep getting better at it.
Yeah, I
kind of keep learning what works and learning different things. And
I can relate. I have old pictures of workouts on my phones that I wrote. Maybe it was to like an online client, or it was, a picture of the board at the gym. And I'm like, you know what? I like this. This is definitely different than what I would do now, but I like it. Like it's kind of cool to look back and see how you've changed, because I've changed a ton.
I'll bet.
With my philosophy and training and how I would approach a new client, which is really interesting, because when you're starting off in something new, you're like, I know everything. That's kind of like the young mindset where you're like, oh, I'm good. I can't get any better. I'm ready to take on the world. And then you realize how much growth happens in the following years. But back to that original question, how have the kids changed? Have you noticed? Because, you get to interview them, you get to write about them, you get to see team interactions, you get to see group interactions. How do you think the kids have changed in the last years?
That's hard. That's a difficult one. I can say this. Physically, I think, and not just because you're a trainer, but I think everybody has gotten so much better. The kids have gotten bigger and stronger and faster because of all the training they do. Everybody has a trainer or an agility coach or a pitching coach or a hitting coach, and I think skill wise, or basketball, you got people, all kinds of people, like you go into basketball skills coaches and stuff, and I think the skills of kids have gotten way better.
I would agree.
And you look at people like Riley Leiden from Prairie Ridge last year, and Alex Johnson from Huntley. I'm talking about girls track. The things that they did is like just amazing, and we didn't see that. We didn't see that for all the time I've been here. I hadn't seen anybody like those two. I saw them as sophomores at the conference meet, and I'm watching them just like blow one record out, blow another record out, and they're sophomores. And remember, so their freshman year was a COVID year, so I didn't see them, and I didn't know. I knew about Riley. I knew she was really good. I didn't know about Alex, and then they come out their sophomore year, and I'm just kind of looking up at the skies and thank you, Lord, I get to cover these two girls for this year and 2 more years after this. This is going to be fun. And they go and win. Between the two of them, I think had 9 state titles. It was ridiculous. It was really fun.
I got to work with Riley personally. So
did you? Yeah,
we trained.
Yeah.
This damn dog. Can you hear that, Alex? No. Okay. All right. Cool. Chase is playing with like some sort of pom pom or something. But we trained Riley. She started in 8th grade, and we went to. I mean, she was on and off basically the whole time she was in high school. But she is a special athlete. That is for
just
sure.
Amazing. Just
Alex,
amazing.
I honestly never. No offense to Alex, I don't mean to offend her, but I have never heard of Alex. I'm not great with keeping up with names.
Yeah, she's from Huntley, and she's at Arizona State, and just another amazing athlete. Her parents were from East St. Louis. Alvin went to East St. Louis. Yolanda went to East St. Louis Lincoln. I think she was there when LaFonso Ellis was there playing basketball.
Oh, okay.
And she played soccer at DePaul. He played football and ran track at Louisville. Played for Howard Schnellenberger, which is a pretty big name football coach from back then. And really nice family. And Alex's little sister Dominique won the triple jump this year in 3A and was also on their state championship 4x2 relay. But Alex is just amazing. She was a sprinter and jumper, and then of course Riley is doing the heptathlon at Texas A&M. She unfortunately tore an Achilles this year, so she missed the year. But yeah, I remember her in 8th grade looking at her stuff. I'm like, she high jumped 5.4.
Well, she broke records as soon as she got into PR.
Yeah, she high jumped 5.4, and she ran like a 57.400. And I looked it up. That 57.400 as an 8th grader would have placed her 6th in the 3A state meet, high school. And I'm like, whoa, this is going to be something. But
you seem like a freaking dictionary. You got like I don't have this. So when I see people that have it, I'm really jealous. You can almost go back into your library of memories and things like that. And you remember the number, you remember the name, you remember. Do you feel like that's a necessity for what you do?
Not a necessity, but definitely an advantage. Yeah. And part of it is that when you write about things, and I'll look up historic, and I'm big into like looking up stuff. Well, where's this stand in history, in area history, in school history, and stuff like that? So I look up things. So then when I write about that again, I feel like that's worthy, so I mention it. So it's probably something I've written a few times, so it just gets stuck in my brain. It's just kind of the way I'm wired. I
don't think I have that. I can't even remember. I'll hear a song and I'll be like, I want to remember that song, and I'll look at it, I'll read it 5 times, and then 5 days later I'm like, oh, what was that freaking song? And I can't remember it at all. I hate it so much. Maybe it was all the head hitting I did with football that's finally kicking in. But you had mentioned COVID. So how did COVID affect the media world?
It was, man, that was the toughest year, without a doubt, the toughest year I ever worked. We're all, we didn't go into the office anymore. We worked at home. We were doing daily COVID stories, and man, that year sucked. It was so bad. I understand it, but we lost the spring sports season.
Do you understand it? Do you really like?
I don't think we knew exactly what we were up against. Mm-hmm. Nobody been through a pandemic before, so
Chase, knock it off. Sorry,
that's all right. So yeah, and it just sucked for everybody. I felt the worst for the 2020 seniors who lost their senior season.
I know that
those kids in that
killed
spring
me.
season. If that had been me in high school, I kept thinking back. I lived for games. When we got rained out, I was near tears. I wanted to play so bad. I played basketball, and I was better at baseball. That's what I played in high school. When we missed a baseball game, I was distraught. Imagine losing a whole season. I just felt so bad for those kids. I applaud the NCAA for maybe the one good thing that came out of that whole crappy situation was giving the kids an extra year,
Yeah, but it also really jacked up a lot of things for the younger folks.
It did.
And then
it did. It
so
kind of
there's
hurt
like
the
a
recruiting.
ripple effect.
Yeah.
Crushed the recruiting. It was so weird. I can't imagine how bizarre it was trying to recruit and then understanding, okay, well, this guy's going to stay a fifth year, and then, but we're getting this, 4-star recruit coming in. Like, what do we do? I would imagine it was just a big spiderweb mess.
There was a mess, but and we're working at home and stuff, and finally that fall, we got something. You know what? I don't know if I'd ever covered girls tennis till that fall. But it was an outdoor sport, so we had girls tennis and we had cross country, and
Weren't they running and playing with
embraced
masks?
girls tennis. I was so into girls tennis because it was at least
something.
I was getting outside and I was writing about sports again.
Weren't they still playing with masks?
I don't think they had to play tennis with masks.
I remember there was
sure.
wrestling with masks. There was basketball with masks.
Basketball with masks was a joke.
It's all
they,
a joke.
They wore them under their chin.
It's all a joke.
They had the
and the ref was told to adjust it, fix your mask.
They'd have the mask timeout. All right, 2-minute mask timeout, and the other riders and I would joke chin strap timeout because it was a big giant. By the 2021 season, when they wore them part of the year, and then they said you don't have to wear them anymore. And it was, but they weren't, by the 2021 season, they weren't wearing them over their nose at all. They weren't even wearing them over their mouth.
Everyone
it was just
was
a chin strap, and just like, let's just play basketball. And they finally, thank goodness.
Yeah. It was just
the end of the
2021
basketball season. Wasn't that the 20?
I distinctly remember.
The 2020, it was the end of the 2022 basketball season, where they didn't have to wear the mask anymore.
So,
and
the beginning of the 2022 season, they were still wearing them. Sounds like it. Maybe.
I'm trying to think.
Dig back into that library.
I'm running. I just remember going to a sectional final, a 3A sectional final at South. It was 2022. Burlington Central was playing St. Francis, and the gym.
It is that library.
The gym was full. And it had been so long, and I think everybody just seemed so happy that, man, this is what it's supposed to be like again. The South's gym was packed, and you haven't seen this for a while.
Yeah,
it was so great. It was so great.
I remember not necessarily like a gym being packed, but I just remember walking into grocery stores and walking into just events in general and places with people, and you can tell everyone was much happier.
Yeah.
Everyone was over it.
Yeah.
Chase.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second.
Sure.
Yeah, he's a 4-month psychopath right now. He's like the equivalent of a teenager. So
yeah.
Just sprinting around. He's starting to chew stuff more, and he's an amazing dog, though. We were talking about before we started. I don't know if I'll ever not have a golden retriever.
Yeah.
Now. But back to COVID. What was the last thing we were saying? The gym being full.
The gym being full.
The gym being full.
Stuff. Yeah. It was. Yeah, those were really hard times. We'd have our Zoom meetings and I'm writing stories about craft breweries delivering beer to people because people didn't want to go out, and just
So did you guys notice an increase in media, like retention and reading and stuff, or was there a decrease because of the material?
I don't know.
How do you guys measure that at the Northwest Herald?
I can tell you, we weren't at any shortage for coming up with story ideas because everything is so weird and different. We still
get really creative.
We still had a lot of story ideas. Unfortunately for us in sports, for a while it wasn't sports. That spring and summer we wound up writing news stuff and other feature stuff. And
what's the weirdest story you had to do? Was it the beer?
The beer was actually kind of cool. The beer people were getting creative, and it was kind of fun to talk to them. I enjoyed that. I'm trying to remember what there was one story I did about what was it? People having to do with Are people able to sleep? Are they worried about things and stuff like? I can't remember exactly.
Something
the
with
focus
stress
of it.
and sleep.
Yeah, something about stress and yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was weird times.
It was.
And at looking back, it's just I was actually scrolling through my phone yesterday. I try to clean out my phone, and there's a picture of a child playing an instrument with a hole cut in the mask. Did you see that? Did you see that stuff?
Yeah,
So,
I haven't seen
at like
them, yeah.
college game days
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah.
like that. They were wearing masks, but
Yeah.
cutting a hole so they can put their mouth on the instrument.
Yeah.
I think I saw the same thing too with like singing, like a choir or something. They're like,
Oh,
there's
really?
a hole in the mask.
hole in
they
the
can
mask for
sing.
choir?
Yeah, it's like
That one's probably the worst. Like there's literally a hole in your mask and you still have to wear it. And it was required by the schools and stuff. But the other one that would really drive me crazy was seeing people wear masks in pools. Because like resorts and hotels and things are like, oh, you can be in the water, but you got to wear your mask. That one was absolutely insane to me.
Yeah.
Just insane. So bizarre that looking back, and it's so funny how at the time everyone's so accepting. And now, at least in my experience, a lot of people that were so accepting were like, oh, yeah, it was so dumb. I'm like, but you were doing it. You were wearing the mask. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But anyway, so worst year of your life.
For
the COVID.
For work, definitely, yeah. And another thing for me, being someone who is active, thank goodness I was able to go outside and run with my dogs.
Putting on nuts.
Yeah. If I hadn't had that outlet, because then for a while they shut down the gyms and I couldn't go to the gym and lift.
First-hand experience.
And I wound up, thank goodness, I'm married to a PE teacher, so she understands fitness and wanting to do stuff. I wound up buying 140 pounds of weights, a couple dumbbells, and a bench for like $430. Normally, it would have cost $210. You couldn't find weights.
Because everyone was
Dicks
stocking up
and
their home
everything.
gym.
There was no.
That is one positive thing that I think came out of COVID is people did become more health conscious, even though there were no government officials or anyone telling you to be more healthy and that being healthier will help you from COVID.
Yeah.
No one was saying that.
Right.
No one was saying take vitamin D, vitamin C. No one was saying focus on your diet, while you're stuck in your house. They were just saying get vaccinated, which did you, if you don't mind me asking?
I did.
You did get vaccinated?
Yeah, I took the first two, the two-parter and the other one.
And did you have any reaction to it?
No.
Good.
It was fine.
Yeah, I know a lot of people. A lot of people did.
I got more of a reaction from my shingles.
Oh, you had shingles?
I took the two shingles vaccines, and the second one, I had a weird night sleeping. I felt like I was hallucinating. I had a little bit of a fever and stuff, but it was just that one night.
So it was just
After
the
that, it
shingles
was
shot.
fine.
You didn't get shingles. You got the shingles shot.
No, just the shot. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So going back to that original question, we talked about kids, and you think physically they've changed. Do you think they've changed? So personally, what we like to talk about is how socially these kids have changed so much. Like if a new kid signs up at the gym, or if mom or dad are bringing kids to come at the gym, I would say on average, I see a social decline when it comes to shaking hands, eye contact, not being able to express their own ideas, thoughts. It's definitely gotten worse from that perspective. Have you noticed a difference with interviewing kids or anything like that?
No, I can't say that I really have. That's interesting though that you
100%.
bring that up. Yeah.
100%. The years that I've been training social, but it's Snapchat and texting, I think, is what's really screwed it up because they
don't just interact like they used to.
Yeah, there's no old school handshaking. There's not as much talking. Like guys don't have to call girls anymore. They could just, what's your Snapchat?
Yeah.
And then they snap themselves into this weird relationship where you show half your face. What are you doing? Streaks. Have you heard of streaks?
No.
Are you on Snapchat at all?
No.
So we're on it for like business purposes, trying to connect. And one of the things that the kids were doing for the longest time is called, I think they're still doing it.
Yeah, that's still.
It's called streaks.
Yeah.
So basically, it's this tally number next to your name and friend. So like if you and I are snapping and we snap every day, at a point, it starts counting our streak. So like if we snap every day for 300 days, we'll have a streak of like 295. I think it starts after like 5 days or something.
I think it starts after 3.
Starts after 3.
Okay.
Okay. And it's literally a goal to some of these kids to just increase their streaks.
That's
Well, it's such like a,
It's so weird.
It's such a hijack of human psychology.
Oh,
Because it's like a trackable, measurable metric that you can keep going. It's a game.
well, that's what all these apps are.
Yeah.
All these apps, all these like you got your phone, you turned it off, which is awesome.
yeah.
But do you find yourself being stuck in like the algorithms on social media and stuff? Do you do a lot of social media?
Mainly Facebook and Twitter.
Okay. Well, you kind of have to with Prep Sports.
Twitter, I probably won't be as active now because a lot of the Twitter I did was for my job. I get roped into Facebook Reels all the time and just get lost in there. I'm like, all right, I need to put this down and actually do something constructive, you know. But yeah, it's what
It's
drives
extremely addictive.
You know what drives me crazy at the gym? Not at your gym because you got people like focusing on what you're teaching them and stuff.
And if they're not, I yell at them.
What? Why do people need their phone at the gym? I leave my phone in the locker when I go to the gym. I'm there to lift weights. I don't need to be texting anybody.
I know.
I don't get it. I don't get it. Why would you do a set and then sit there and
Well, not only do
text
they
people?
bring it, but they videotape every single thing they do there. Do you see that at all? What gym do you go to?
I used to go to Fitness 19, and before I went to Healthbridge for a while. Then I went to Fit.
Yeah, they shut down.
Then I went to Charter, and then I went to Fitness 19. So
you're at Fitness 19 again, or you're not?
I'm currently not at one, but I'm because of my shoulder.
Oh, that's right.
I had a little shoulder issue, and that's killing me, man. I miss lifting so much.
Do you know what it is? What the problem
I
is?
got it fixed.
Oh.
It was a partial rotator cuff tear. I got it fixed in March, and I'm cleared, and I'm back on the track now. So
Yeah, we got.
I'm happy. I can do like 80 to 100 push-ups a day. So, which is pretty cool. So having just had it done in March, I'm like a little bit over 4 months out.
Notch now.
Yeah. So I'm very happy.
Good.
On my way back.
When do you leave for Florida?
We're probably going to be here till September.
Oh yeah, we got time. Let's get you in TNT, man. let me run you through a couple of workouts to test the shoulder out in a good way.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna.
No,
We're not gonna hurt you. So how did the coaches and parents change at all? Have you noticed anything with that?
You know, I think with the parents,
I feel like parents have become more sensitive and involved with their children.
Well, and less accountable. Less accountable in that I think that people are always willing to blame somebody else other than their kid for not working hard enough. Blame the coach. The coach isn't playing him enough. Well, did your son or daughter work hard enough? You know, you need to look at yourself first before you start blaming everybody else. And I think I feel like through the years there's less accountability. It's just, I think it's society in general, right? They're always looking to blame somebody else.
Point the finger.
Yeah. And that kind of drives me crazy.
Where do you think that came from?
Always blaming the coach. I don't.
Like, what's your
I'm not
from
sure.
your
I'm not sure.
experience?
But yeah,
I wish I
it
could
drives me
pinpoint
crazy
it
because
more.
if when it was my daughter and Becky and I would talk about things with our daughter, you know, it's like, okay, I always thought, well, what are we doing first? Are we doing enough? You know, does she need to work?
You mean
harder?
like if she failed at making a team, or if she didn't make a team?
Or if she, wasn't playing enough, or just where she was talent wise and everything? Or are we doing enough? You know,
What sports did your daughters play?
you
have two daughters?
I had one daughter that ran cross country and one that played softball. She played volleyball for a little bit and then played softball. And went to an NAIA school, Trinity Christian in Palos Heights. which has one of the greatest nicknames ever, the Trolls. Not the little troll dolls, the under the bridge mean trolls.
Yeah.
And she had played softball down there. So had a really fun time and made some great friends.
Good.
But I miss the softball days. It was really fun.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. I look back at my dad coaching my sister. I would always like kind of help every now and then. If I can make it to a tournament, I would coach, first base or something. And it's fun. Girls are different in baseball. Baseball and softball, as much as they are similar, they're very different.
Yeah. Becky was the head coach for about 3 years on Tori's team. And for a couple of those years, I was an assistant. So every weekend, the three of us went somewhere. I coached first base. Another guy coached third base. Becky was in the dugout keeping the book and just kind of more of like a manager than a head coach, kind of keeping the girls on task and everything. It was a nice system. We had a nice team. We had 12 girls, a perfect number. Everybody gets to play a lot, and it was a lot of fun. Great times.
What's your take on parents getting involved with coaching their kids?
I think they have to. Who else is going to do it? You're not really going to have somebody else that's not involved. But you have to keep the proper perspective. Make sure you're doing it for all the girls, not just your girl or son.
No playing
right?
favorites.
Right.
You see that so much.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not playing favorites, but your son happens to be the quarterback.
Yeah.
I'm not playing favorites though.
Yeah.
But your kid happens to be the quarterback or the starting running back, and he's like the fifth fastest kid on the team.
Right.
There's always something like that.
Yeah.
And I think, did you ever cover like travel sports, or it was mainly
Not
just
much.
like high school?
Mostly high schools. Yeah. Yeah.
Travel sports. We have a reel of Kimmy Sikora. I don't know how much you listened to the podcast before, but we have a reel that really hit home with a lot of people. She said, what'd she say? Back in my day, there was a ones and a twos team. And if you didn't make the 1 or 2 team, you got cut. You were gone. And it's coming up to 2 million views or something ridiculous.
It's like 1.8 million, something like that.
You can tell that it really hits home with people. So what is your take on travel sports in, correlation with high school sports? Like, do you think that's a good thing? Do you think they're a bad thing? Do you think they're hurting the high school sports at all? Like, what's your take on that?
I think they'd only hurt the high school sports if they demand during the year that you just play that one sport, and because I think there's a lot of value to diversifying. Go play football and play baseball, or go play football and then run track, or play volleyball and play basketball. But I think travel sports are good for the most part because they're increasing your skills. You're playing a lot. You're playing a lot of games in the summer. You're increasing your skills, and so I think they're good from that point.
I think the devil's advocate though would be let your damn kid be a kid.
Yeah.
So you got the high school coach breathing down your neck. Hey, you need to get in the weight room for the baseball season. Like, get in the weight room. Well, but coach, I want to play football. But well, you still got to get in the weight room with our team training. And they force the one sport. I feel like, and I'm sure there's good coaches out there, but I think the majority of coaches, they're all kind of fighting each other for the kids. Mm-hmm. And they're shoving it down their throat. And then like baseball is just ridiculous. You have your main season, you have your fall ball season, and then you have a travel team. And 90% of the time, your coach is associated with some sort of travel team. Yeah. So he expects you to sign up for that travel team. Oh, by the way, you have to get lessons with the coach as well. Like, come on.
Yeah.
What the hell are we doing?
Moderation. You need some moderation for sure.
Get away from me and go play football. Get away from me and go play basketball. Go be a freaking kid. Because you're going to, at least personally, you're going to look back and be like, why didn't I play that other sport?
One of my favorite stories is Quinn Priester, with the Pirates now from Cary Grove, 2019, 18th pick in the first round of the draft. And he was going to TCU, and the whole summer before, he was their quarterback. He was Cary Grove's quarterback as a junior. the whole summer before he did the very highest level showcases all over the place, pitching, and I didn't realize. I knew he was really good. I didn't realize how good he was, and I feel
as a
bad.
pitcher or just in general.
As a pitcher, I knew he was really, really good, and I didn't realize he's until that spring that he.
You didn't realize he was first
this guy's
rounder.
gonna go first round.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he does all these things, and he's got millions, literally, riding on this, and he still went and played football. They moved Ben McDonald to quarterback. Quinn played because Quinn wasn't there for a lot of the summer workouts, and Ben was awesome. Ben was our player of the year that year. He was awesome, and Quinn played receiver and safety. Caught a touchdown pass in the state championship game when they beat Crete-Monee, and fortunately, didn't get hurt. But he was able to be a kid, and he played with his guys, and won a state title, and then goes into
cherish that memory forever.
Yeah, for sure he is, and then went and played, baseball and gets drafted in the first round. I just thought that was so cool. That was, it was a risk. There was a little risk there.
Absolutely.
He could have gotten hurt.
I don't know that
somebody
I would have
landed
done
on
that.
him wrong, but kudos to him. I thought that was
That's a very
so
cool
great.
story.
And
winning the state championship. I mean,
yeah.
How many kids can say that?
I know.
We won state with PR. That's when we had like 6 Division I guys on the team. Do you remember covering that at all?
Yeah.
State baseball? So that was Martini.
Oh, yeah. Martini.
Swank. Heesh.
Bobby Martin. Michael
Martin.
Heesh.
Yeah.
Swank and Dave Miftroff, who went to Liberty. Yeah. Those guys
that team
all
was stacked.
went D1. That was
stacked
crazy.
team.
That was so fun.
What are some of the athletes? I mean, we touched on a couple, but I wanted to ask you: are there any other athletes that really stand out that you just love to cover, that inspired you to write? What are some of the names that pop in your head? We talked about Riley. We talked about Priester.
Yeah. Well, I think the 2 best athletes overall for everything they did that I've ever seen around here were C.J. Fedorowicz, Johnsburg. Probably could have gone D1 in 4 sports. He was awesome.
He was a monster.
I think he had 11 varsity letters. He only didn't letter his senior year in the spring because he was going to Iowa and he just started working out for football. But he played baseball for 2 years, ran track 1 year in the spring, and then football and basketball. And he was just amazing. And unfortunately, got some concussions in the 2017 season, just as he was really starting to make an impact with the Houston Texans at tight end, and then was forced to retire. And then Christian Benker this year at Marion Central. I mean, I'm geeky about numbers, as we've talked about. And I started looking up last year because he finished his junior season with 139 receptions in football. He finished the basketball season with 1,460 points. And I'm crunching the numbers, doing the math. I'm like, okay, they're going to throw the heck out of the ball at Marion. They got a really good they got a D1 quarterback, Cale McThinia, going to Northern Iowa, and he's going to catch a ton of balls. He only needs 61. They play, even if they don't make the playoffs, that's 9 games. That's 7 catches a night. He'll do that in his sleep. So he's going to get to 200 catches. And then I started, okay, and they're going to play how many basketball games? He's going to average 20 points a game. And I looked it up. No one in IHSA history ever had 200 career receptions in football and 2,000 points in basketball. And he did that.
Wow.
That's amazing. And again, here's another kid. He's going to Clemson to play tight end. He very well could be playing on Sundays someday. And I think he will be. But he wanted to be a kid. And I asked him, I said, are you gonna leave early? A lot of those big time guys Grant Steck, and that's fine. Grant Steck at Jacobs this year, he got out and went up to Wisconsin. He was so excited to go to Wisconsin, and that's fine too. But I don't think he was playing basketball anymore. He did as a sophomore, but he wasn't. So that was less of a decision for Grant. But with Christian, you wonder, was Dabo Sweeney and his staff going to want him to come early? But he wanted to stay and be a kid and play with his guys.
Good for him.
Yeah.
That's what we keep talking about. I really think it's important for these kids to be kids. I
do too.
I see it not super often, but you see it. These kids get burned out, man.
Yeah.
And when you go D1, that is a job.
Yes.
That is a job. It is much different than Division II or Division III. You are living, eating, breathing that sport, especially being a high-profile guy going in. They're going to expect you. They're going to expect you to pull numbers. They're going to expect you to make catches. They're going to expect you to produce. And if you don't, that's extremely stressful.
Yeah.
But I've seen and heard a lot of stories of people just burning themselves out and just not having fun. Because what's the whole point of sport?
Have fun.
That's
the first thing, yes.
It's to have fun. And going back to that travel, the travel situation, I feel like travel has sort of ruined that in a sense. Like we're treating these kids like they're pro athletes at age 9. You're paying $3,000 a year.
Yeah.
In travel baseball. It's like $2,500, $3,000 a year to play a sport that 3 dads are running. And maybe the dads are, I don't know, maybe they're good coaches, maybe they're not. But I know of a lot of organizations, I'm not going to say any names. I actually think GRB does it really well. We're kind of teamed up with GRB.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of organizations out there where it's a couple dads running the show. They have no idea what they're doing. No idea. And promoting parents paying $40 for a 30-minute session for a stranger to throw balls to their kid. Go outside and play catch with your kid.
Yeah.
Just get your ass up, go outside and play catch with your kid. And I feel like travel sports have really contributed to the tarnishing of that aspect, like the fun aspect.
So talking about you asked about some other of my favorite or who I think are the best. I have to put Evan Jager in there from Jacobs, who is the greatest American steeplechaser ever. He put steeplechase in the USA kind of on the map. He has the 8 best times, and he just missed going to his 3rd Olympics. Did you see that?
No, I did not.
I'm
finished, horrible at keeping up.
He finished 4th in the Olympic trials. You had to be in the top 3. He had a better world ranking than the 3rd place guy. So the 3rd place guy, there's a weird rule there. The 3rd place guy did not have the Olympic qualifying standard, which was 8:15, but he had a week in which to achieve that qualifying standard. He goes to the Penn Relays Summer Showcase, runs the race of his life, beats the 8:15 standard, and because he got 3rd then at the Olympic trials, he bumped Evan out. Evan was 4th.
Oh, man.
So he finished ahead of Evan anyway.
That seems a little messed up.
It's
that doesn't sound right.
It's a weird. It's a weird.
You're only as good as you are on your worst day. That's part of sports.
Yeah.
You should be able to perform at the Olympic
he
trials.
did beat Evan at the trials, but Evan had a better body of work, I guess. But then this kid goes and had one chance and he ran his best race. So, but Evan was 6th in London in 2012. And was silver medalist in Rio in 2016 in the steeplechase.
Man.
And, guy, he went pro. He went to Wisconsin for 1 year, went pro at 19 because he liked the coach at Wisconsin. And the coach at Wisconsin, Jerry Schumacher, got hired by Nike. So he went with him. And so Evan would be, with what he achieved on the world stage. And another guy that you have to toss in there is Brian Balaga.
That's true.
Who won a Super Bowl ring with the Packers his rookie year. And here's a funny thing, and I looked this up because I'm like, these guys, somehow I realized they were born 2 weeks apart. Evan was like March 8th, and and Brian is March 22nd. So two guys that go out and achieve almost the highest you can in the world were born 2 weeks apart. I always thought that was kind of funny.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. One guy's 6'2", 145, and the other guy's 6'6".
I was going to say
310.
Physically, they're quite different.
Yeah.
Because Bulaga was Marion.
Yes. Marion Central, 2007.
Okay, yeah.
And he went to Iowa and then got drafted 23rd, and he's the highest.
It's crazy that
he's
you
the
are
highest,
just able to spit these numbers.
Well,
He's drafted
again,
23rd.
because he's the highest.
He was born at 8:06 p.m. 9 pound 6 ounce baby.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It was
it's
my
cool.
life.
It's very cool.
It was my life.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Do you think you're going to find yourself still reading and like about about athletes and things like that, or
yes, I hope I
take a nice break.
Maybe
take a break and then get back.
I want to keep up on what's going on with the football scene and stuff. It's been so much fun. God, Prairie Ridge and Cary Grove in particular were so good to me. Us the last 15, 16 years with all the titles, giving us so much to write about. It's been awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true.
Awesome.
Yeah, I believe the Junior Wolves created the powerhouse that PR became.
Absolutely.
And that's
Junior Wolves and Junior Trojans
that.
both. That's why are those teams so good? Because these kids start running option football when they're third or fourth grade. They know it. They run that stuff to death. It's awesome. Yeah.
It's cool to think about because my dad was the president of the Junior Trojans.
Yes.
The Stephen M. Drain Field. Do you know about the field, right?
I don't.
So the junior high, the field at the junior high for Cary, that's Stephen M. Drain Field.
Very good.
So they named that after my dad because of all the work he did with the Junior Trojans. And then, me and Greg got not screwed. I'm not going to say screwed, but we couldn't go to Cary with all our teammates.
Oh, the boundaries changed?
The boundaries were just the way the boundaries were because we were in kind of the Oakwood Hills area.
Yeah, yeah.
And my dad's like, well, this is dumb. We need some Junior Wolves. So he started the Junior Wolves, and then sure enough, I remember he came home one day, and I think this was when Samson Evans was in 8th grade. Either Samson or Shane Evans, one of the Evans. And he came home one day, he's like, this team's going to win state. And sure enough, when they were all high school varsity football players, that team that he coached, that 8th grade team, won state.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that was like the catalyst, and that was the first one. But that goes to show you how powerful a junior football program is.
Yeah,
like a feeder program.
It's essential. You got to have that to be really
and
good.
The proof's in the pudding. I mean, Cary Junior Trojans, they've always been a powerhouse, and that triple option. That triple, if you can run that triple option, man, it's devastating.
It's different. The East St. Louis has nightmares about that. Look at 2021 and 2023. They just couldn't stop it. This year, I thought this season, East St. Louis did a much better job defending it the whole game. And they had that lead in the fourth. They got the lead in the fourth quarter, even with their quarterback out of the game. The freshman quarterback came in and they just ran the ball, got the lead, and then Cary just has one magnificent, 9-minute, 37-second drive. They're driving down the field. The one time that East St. Louis had to stop them, they couldn't. Logan Abrams was such a big load, and Peyton Seberg made some great plays. And it was, they're driving down the field, and you're sitting there like, all right, well, this might work out just right, but they're going to have to score. They're not going to get the ball back because they're running the whole clock out, and it wound up being perfect because they left East St. Louis 119 when Logan Abrams finally scored. I can't remember. I think they might have converted 3 4th downs on that drive. They just couldn't risk giving the ball back to them. They had to keep it and run it out, and run out the time. It was perfect. What a drive.
It's cool. One of these questions down here, I wanted to prepare some questions because I feel like, coaching myself in the last podcast, I wanted to have something written, and I didn't want to forget anything. And one of the questions I have for you is, what is it about prep sports that made you want to do it for a living? But I don't need to ask you because I see it's funny how I see you talk about these kids and these players and these data points, and you're just like, dude, you freaking love it.
Well, you know,
You love it.
when I got here, I got to cover the Cubs for a while. I got to cover the Bears. I was our Bears beat writer for about 9 years, and that was really fun. And then I got to do Bears home games for like another 20 years or so, just as a support staff. NFL games are such a big deal. And that was really fun. And I did get to go to the Super Bowl after the 2006 season, Super Bowl 41, right? I always lose track of the number. I know it was the 2006 season.
Dude, I told you I suck at this, so
And,
I'm gonna go with you.
Yeah. So, you know, and those were, and that was a career highlight, of course, going to the Super Bowl. But what I get in McHenry County in the area that I don't get covering pros is the personal relationships. And I'm not saying that the athletes weren't nice. I never had any problem with any of the pro guys. They were usually pretty accommodating and nice and would talk to you and stuff. But they don't
because
read,
they kind of have to be, though.
Yeah, they do. But they don't read our stuff. They're not going to read our stuff. Out here, everybody reads your stuff. Everybody knows who we are.
It's that community aspect.
Yeah, and I love that because I go up to games, and it was funny. Sometime around, I think it was like 2002 or 3, Jason Schomburg was our sports editor, and he went to a game with me, and I don't know why I remember this, but it was Crystal Lake Central, and I walk in, and hey, how you doing? I'm shake hands with somebody. I walk another 5 feet. Hey, how you doing? And Jason's just standing there, grinning, watching me because I know a lot of people. It's like a politician, you know, shaking hands, kissing babies and stuff. And I turn around and he's just grinning. I said, "What?" He goes, "Man, you know everybody. You're like the mayor." And so for a while in the office, they just called me the mayor, which it was pretty funny. I'm like, you know what? I'll take that nickname. That's a pretty cool nickname.
Cool.
It could be a lot
That's
worse
cool.
nicknames than the mayor, but
That's a cool nickname.
they call me the mayor of Crystal Lake. So yeah.
Were you always like social butterfly type?
Yeah, I'm pretty.
It kind of seems like you thrive.
I'm pretty
on it.
outgoing. Yeah. You know, when I'd go to the gym, I'd meet people at the gym and I just start talking.
I was gonna say you're that guy on the grocery line.
Yeah.
Hey,
Like,
you got some soda there, huh?
yeah.
You like Dr. Pepper? That's cool. I could
Gonna drink
totally
me
see
about
that.
15 Dr. Peppers. I was kind of thirsty.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
a movie quote guy.
Yeah.
Aren't you posting? You're like posting movie quotes, right? Did I see
Because
that?
I don't think I'm interesting. I don't know that people want to know what I'm doing, so I just toss a movie line out. And then I hope that somebody else takes the next line and just runs with it and have fun that way.
You don't think you're interesting?
I don't think what I'm doing during the day is interesting. Like people, you know, and that's fine. They can post what they want. It's their page. I just don't like, oh, I'm running with the dogs today. You know,
Don't get me
instead of
started,
that,
dude.
instead of that,
Don't
well, you
get
can
me
see
started.
my shirt, you know, like
The Sex Panther. 60% of the time, it works every time. If you don't know that movie quote, you need to turn this off, and I don't even want you to be a listener.
it's made from real bits of panther, so you know it's good. Yeah.
I'm not sure that makes any sense. Yeah, that's a great movie.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I would beg to differ. I think you are an interesting person. So
Well, thanks.
maybe you should share more
Yeah.
of your day.
And by the way, I heard one of your recent podcasts when you talked to my buddy Chris Krug, and I thank you guys for all the
Yeah, of course.
very nice things that you said about me. I'm listening to that. I'm like, wow, I don't even know if I'm all deserving of all this, but
that's what he had told me. He's like, he doesn't think he deserves all this attention. Speaking of all this attention, you are now in some Hall of Fames,
yeah.
right? So you've been
Yeah.
inducted into. We'll talk about that.
Okay, so in 2016, the former Dundee Crown coach and several other places, Bruce Furchaw is the president of the Illinois Basketball Coaches Association, and he went to bat for me, and I went into that Hall of Fame in 2016, and in April, I got a call from Dave Earhart, who's the president of the Jacobs Hall of Fame committee, and I'm thinking Dave's just going to tell me that, hey, here's who's going in. I'm going to send you the email on the 2024 induction class, right? And he keeps talking and explaining everything to me. And he says, we're putting you in as a friend of the program. And I'm like, what? So on September 13th, I'll go into Jacobs High School Hall of Fame. How cool is that? I was completely blown away by that one.
That's very cool.
Yeah. So yeah, that I'm.
So
like,
what does that mean? They're gonna put like.
So I'll be. They'll have a little meet and greet and a dinner, and then a ceremony in the auditorium, and then
they're gonna make it honorary jersey.
I don't know. I don't think so. But
throw Stevenson up somewhere. That'd be kind of cool.
At halftime, then we'll go down to the football game, and they'll introduce us in front of all the fans and stuff. So there's 4 of us that are going in that night, and 2 of the people are people that I covered, obviously, because I've been here forever. But yeah, it's pretty cool. So Laura Somerville was a gymnast. Clint Reams was a really good football player, and Craig Wojcik was a very good basketball player there.
That sounds really familiar.
He was like, but he was mid 80s, so he was just before I got here.
I don't know why that sounds familiar to me.
But yeah, so but I'm like, wow. I said, Dave, I don't even know what to say, but besides, thank you. That's just awesome.
That's cool. So
I never scored a basket or got a hit or made a tackle or won a race for Jacobs, but I enjoyed my job, and it allowed me to write so many compelling stories about great athletes like Evan Jager and Johnny Moran and Cam Krutwig, who's still playing pro basketball in.
Why do people love sports so much?
I just wrote about him. And I'm spacing out on where he's playing. But
oh man, the library gave up on you.
It did. I just wrote a story about him too. He's pro in France. Yeah. Yeah.
Here you go. What is it about sports that
Spain? I'm sorry, Spain.
Correction. What is it about sports that people love so much, in your opinion? Because like we absolutely glorify professional athletes.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, watching them perform, it's fun, it's exciting, it's not life and death. I think all of those things.
I always thought from a psychological perspective, it's like we don't care and we don't need to get into politics or big pharmaceuticals, but let's just use pharmaceuticals as an example. Like it's well known that drugs can kill you in bad scenarios. You don't see anybody getting up, freaking out, storming, big pharma front door. But when the Miami Dolphins and the Dallas Cowboys are playing, I'm going to paint my face, I'm going to get my jersey on, and I'm going to scream at the TV. You know what I mean? I always thought sports were so interesting because there are people that live and breathe and die for sports.
Yeah.
And I've always wondered, like, what is it that I think personally, I think it's like we can kind of tune out regular day.
Yeah, a little bit
life.
of an escape.
It's a little bit of an escape.
Yeah.
It's like I'm going to, just bleed these colors. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to watch this football game, and I'm not going to think about work. And I'm going to eat nachos. I'm not going to think about doing anything healthy. I'm going to drink this beer, and I'm going to get a nice buzz. And I'm going to watch these guys run headfirst into each other. And I think it's the escape, and it's just entertaining.
Yeah,
we thrive on
being
entertained.
Isn't it crazy? I mean, when the Bears win, you just kind of feel better that week, right?
Yeah, I mean, the most recent stuff that we can go off is the Blackhawks were the most recent Chicago win, right?
Yeah,
no, Cubs. That was Cubs.
Oh, the Cubs, 2016, yeah.
But the Blackhawks come to mind because of all the bandwagoners.
Yeah.
Did you notice a lot of that too?
Yeah.
I know so many people don't know a lick about hockey, but they're like, I'm going to the Stanley Cup parade. I'm a Blackhawks. Well, how long have you been a Blackhawks fan? Oh, forever. Okay.
Yeah.
So, going back to you being an interesting person, I think one thing that I always found interesting and fun about you was your trumpet playing.
Yeah.
That's one of your hobbies, right?
It is a hobby.
How'd you get into that?
It is a hobby. When I was growing up, let's see, we started in 6th grade in my little hometown, and our band director was a dynamic personality. He was an awesome guy. He was so fun. And we didn't have a football team, but we marched, and we were really good. We won, when I was in high school, we hardly ever lost a parade because we didn't have to worry about a football show. We just marched in the street. We were so good. I love telling this. We had 250 in our high school. Half of our high school was in marching band. Think about that. 125 kids in a school of 250 marching.
And where was this at?
Canton, Missouri.
Canton, Missouri.
Yeah, a little town up in the northeast corner. So I was really into that. My mom was into music. And
you said there was no football team.
No football team.
So did you play other sports too? Or
I played baseball and basketball.
Okay.
But yeah, so I started taking, I don't know, I really liked it. And Mom pushed me just the right amount. And I started taking lessons in 7th grade. And then I took lessons in high school, and I was pretty much always first chair. And when I went to college,
what does that mean? Like
I was the best.
You're the best.
Yeah.
The best trumpet
I'll
player.
brag a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. But so, and when I went to college, I knew that I wanted to go in mass communications, but I went to Truman State. It was Northeast Missouri State back then in Kirksville.
That's where my wife went, by the way.
Oh, hey, go Dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my trumpet teacher said, well, you can still play in marching band and jazz band and stuff. I'm like, okay, yeah, I want to do that. I want to keep doing it. And I got really serious about it in college. And I practiced like a music major because I just loved it. And I learned how to improvise. So in our jazz band, I'd go out front and take a solo where you're just taking the chord changes and making it up as you go, which is really difficult and challenging and fun. And
I've always thought like jazz trumpets were just so cool.
Awesome.
Cool.
It was fun. It was really fun. So then I graduate and I don't really have anything to play for anymore. Well, I did the wedding circuit for a while because I had all my high school friends were getting married, so I'd go play at their weddings and stuff. That was cool. It was something to play for. And then, I get to working and we have a family, and the horn just sat there for a while. But now our girls are older. They're 34 and 31. And a few years ago, I missed this. So I started doing it. And another one good thing that came out of COVID for me, since we're not going out anywhere, it's like I get done work and I just go over in our room in the basement, pick up my horn and play for an hour.
How's a wife like that?
It's funny. I used to play with a mute.
Because it's not quiet.
I used to play with a mute but she could still hear me. And then I came home one day, and she's a teacher at South. She found out from the band director at South that you can get these. It's a Yamaha silent brass. This is the coolest thing ever. It's $160 for this thing, but it is awesome. It's a whisper mute. So when I play, you can barely hear it, but it's got a mic in it.
You can still hear it.
It's got a mic.
Oh, so you can listen back.
So I got a battery pack, and I turn it on and put headphones in, and it's got an auxiliary jack. So I plug it into my phone, and I can play along with Chicago or Earth, Wind and Fire or Stevie Wonder or something, and play my songs. And she can barely hear me. So it's pretty awesome. So I play about every day now. And I'm not in a band or anything, but when I I'll practice something, and if I get it down well enough, then I post a Facebook video with a song, and people are so nice. They hit like and give me nice compliments and stuff.
That's cool.
It's fun.
It's good to have hobbies.
I'm to the point now where I got my range back, and I have some endurance and can really play a lot better than I used to, when I started this. So it's fun.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Are you working on anything right now?
I got
who's like your aspiring jazz favorite?
Wow. Well, I have to say Dizzy Gillespie. Do you remember Dizzy? The guy that with the big cheeks?
I don't remember him, but
okay.
Dave Facone actually said you were gonna say that.
Yeah, because I got my picture taken with him twice, and I was in college. I mean, this is my hero. This is my trumpet hero. And
That's
we went to
very
a concert at Ames, Iowa, and I had my Dizzy T-shirt on, and somehow we worked our way backstage, and we're in the room listening to Dizzy tell stories. It was awesome. I'm just like, holy shit! Can I say that?
Yeah.
Like, holy shit! Here's Dizzy Gillespie. And I got my camera with the flash already, and finally the guy says, "All right, we got to go." And I looked at Dizzy.
You
and
gotta show me this picture. You have it. You have it with you?
I do. I told the guy tells us you got to leave. You got to go. Dizzy's gonna go, and Dizzy's sitting there. I said, "Can I get a picture?" He said, "Yeah, sure." I sit down on the couch. My friend takes the picture, and one of the best things I ever did in my life, I took it down to our local drugstore, and they blew it up into this like 3 by 4 foot poster. When you came into my dorm room, bam, there's
so
a
cool.
poster with me and Diz.
You even got a nickname for him, Diz.
Everybody call him Diz. Yeah, everybody call him Diz. It'll take me a minute to find this, but
that's okay. Well, you can show me after or something. But
Yeah.
What time we at, Alex?
We're at 1:16.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so we're right about the time we want to start wrapping up. So I know you've listened to a couple of shows, so you'll know at the end of the show, I always like to ask the guest what is some, we'll say, life advice. What comes to mind if someone's like, you know what, like, what should I do when I'm looking for my career? How should I go about picking my career? What's some advice that you would give to your young self, entering the adult world and finding the career that, you love? Like, because you can literally look back and say, I did what I loved my entire life. And I think that alone is so huge because so many people out there are so upset, so depressed, so angry. And you see it on social media. Someone's got something to bitch about every single day. My boss sucks or this or that. So what kind of advice would you give for the people out there? The young, most of our listeners are young. So
yeah. Well, I feel very fortunate, and I see it with my wife Becky too, because she absolutely loved what she did. I feel like we both found our calling, did what we were meant to do. Because I would see her passion every day with PE, and how she related to her kids, and when I talk to kids out and they find out who I'm married to, they'll call her Steve-O. That was her nickname at South, Steve-O. Oh, Steve-O, we love her. So, I think that's the key, is finding something that you're passionate about, something that you really love. And when you, like people say, when you do that, it's not like work.
You never work a day in your life.
Yeah, because you're doing something you really enjoy, and she enjoyed that, and I feel fortunate that, I guess maybe that's a reason that I'm going into Jacobs Hall of Fame, because people saw that and appreciated that in the way I approach things with writing. I enjoyed meeting people. I loved watching sports and then telling stories about it. So that, I think that's if you can find that. I used to speak at Cary Grove. Always had a career day, and I'd speak at Cary Grove's career day a lot with they'd have like 2 or 3 people from media, and that was the one thing that we always stressed to those young people is like, try to find what you're passionate about. That's the key. If you can find that and run with that, you're going to be happy. You're going to be successful.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I do think it's important to say, sometimes that one thing that you love might not be your career right away.
Right.
But that doesn't mean stop doing it. You know what I mean? So, for instance, if you got to, for whatever reason, everyone's got different cards dealt to them, right? So if you have to start making some money, get that job at Aldi, get that job at Meijer, but on the side, play your trumpet, right?
Yeah.
Write articles.
Yeah.
Find someone to write for, and don't ever stop doing what you love. But I completely agree, and I can relate because I made the gym my career, and
Good for you. Yeah.
I get to hang out with kids. I get to hang out with people and help
Get to
them
make
feel
people
better. Exactly right.
Better at what they want to do. Yeah.
Exactly right.
That's cool.
Well, Joe, I want to thank you for not only coming on, but for being such an awesome part of the community. I know it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt, and everyone's gonna miss seeing that Joe Stevenson name on the Northwest Herald. And I know you're gonna do some fun stuff in Florida.
Yeah.
You're gonna enjoy the weather. You're gonna write about some more athletes, and you'll find your way to keep doing creative stuff. But thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for your contribution to the community, and thanks for letting me and Alex, be your final send off. This is super cool.
This is great. Thanks.
It's like full circle.
I appreciate you asking me. I'm honored to be here. This is great.
Yeah, it's really is like a full circle. I remember you interviewing me, like I was like receiver of the week or something. I can't remember for actually before we go. Do you remember this at all? When in 2009, so I was tight end and punter. Central had graffitied on our field. Do you remember this at all?
I don't.
So
something I don't remember.
Yeah. So we had graffitied on our field, and it was the best pregame speech we ever had. All Coach Shrimp did, all he did, was show us pictures of the graffiti that was done on our field. And he's like, "You gonna let them do this to our home?" And all of us are like, ho, ho, ho. And I was receiver of the day. I had a touchdown, and I don't know how many receptions, but you had interviewed me after that game, and now I get to sit here and interview you.
Very cool.
So thank you again. Really appreciate it. It's been awesome getting to know you and getting to talk to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Steve.
Of course. Thank you.